GDPR policy, it is the EU, let's say, directive that need to be implemented by any organization in Europe in order to ensure the privacy of data for each single personnel and the organizations. And when it comes to ECES, we have certainly done everything that was needed to be done in order to mainstream GDPR policy in all our activities, with the support of specialized lawyer that has redefined the way we were working as concerning our own standard operating procedures in order to implement each and single activities of our approach, which, as I was saying, it is the European response on electoral cycle support, which is implemented through our standard operating procedures that lately has received the ISO 9001 certification for quality management and the TRACE certification for financial transparency and anti-bribery. Yes, actually, the European response on electoral support has been our approach since the establishment of the European Center for Electoral Support in 2010, and therefore we've been implementing this project already in several countries. Last but not least, the biggest project that we had implemented so far, which are in Jordan for 12 million euro, always funded by the European Union, and in Nigeria for 13 million euro. So indeed, we are now developing specific projects that are being submitted to the European Union, the European member states, for different countries, like, for instance, Kenya or Somaliland, and also in favor of regional organizations and regional networks of electoral management bodies, like the one in the ECOWAS, in the West African community, in the Southern African Development Community, and also for the community of Sahel and Saharan states. Certainly, and unfortunately, the latest news we are receiving from our large team deployed in Ethiopia are worrisome, in the sense that there is an important tension between the national, let's say, government and some of the regions. The tensions are extremely important, and we hope that they're going to be peacefully resolved in the context of a political dialogue and in the context of these upcoming elections. So yes, certainly in Ethiopia at present, you have an important tension between, let's say, the national power and some of the regions of Ethiopia, which are undeniable. And again, we hope they're going to be solved through political dialogue. No, actually, each and single project of the European Union, especially funded by the European Development Funds, it is actually implemented not only in the electoral sectors, but in all the sector, with the specific request coming from the local authorities. And actually, in the case of the European Development Funds, there is a co-signatures, which was the case also for our EURECS project, between the EU delegation and the Minister of Finance. So therefore, it's certainly support in favor of the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia that was requested by the local authorities. And actually, we have signed also not only a contract with the European Union that received funding from the European Development Funds in Germany, but we have also signed an implementation agreement with the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia. There is a slight difference with the instrument for contributing to peace and stability, which of course is being implemented by informing the national authorities. However, it is not need the signatures, let's say, of the Minister of Finance in this case, because we are there also to support the civil society organization, but obviously each and single activity the European Center for Electoral Support is implementing in any countries, it is done in collaboration, consultation, and prior agreement with the EU or other EU member states that could fund us, and beneficiaries and stakeholders. And this is happening also in the process of formulating the process and getting to an agreement for the activities, explain the objective and the budget. So everything is done in a manner that need to involve as much as possible the beneficiary in the context of increased ownership. The way we are working everywhere, not only in Ethiopia, it is a way that trying to underline via dialogue what is the importance of the leadership roles that each and single electoral stakeholders have in the context of preventing, mitigating, and managing electoral conflicts and potential violence. So therefore, through different activities and capacity development programs, like the one we were discussing before, the leadership and conflict management skills for electoral stakeholders, we are trying to pass this important message: what each and single stakeholders can do in their leadership role in order to prevent and mitigate electoral conflicts. So the way we are doing it is to target all the different electoral stakeholders, which are not only the electoral management bodies, which in case of Ethiopia is the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia. Well, we are trying to facilitate the contact and dialogue in their leadership role with civil society organizations, with the media actors, which are extremely important, also in the context of social networks and fake news, that is obviously everywhere in the world, is an important aspect to be taken in considerations. We are trying to facilitate the dialogue with the security forces when it comes to the securization of the electoral process, taking into consideration the appropriate level of force that need to be put in place by the state security. And we are trying also to develop the dialogue with those institutions that are dealing with the important matters of electoral dispute resolutions. So this is the way we are doing in every country, and we are receiving a good response when it comes to the dialogue that we can actually put in place in order to facilitate what is the acknowledgement of the role of each stakeholders when it comes to their own leadership, and actually disseminate the specific knowledge we can actually facilitate to cascade training, talking about leadership and conflict management skills. In any countries where we are working, each stakeholders are understandably so difficult to convince between brackets, because obviously, I think in order to build a mutually reinforcing working relation, each stakeholders need to understand that we are making an important effort to understand the political and electoral scenarios. This is why before to implement any activities, we carry out electoral political economy analysis and electoral security threat assessment with the different stakeholders with whom we are working. So in this context, there is all the time the effort the ECES is doing in order to implement South-South collaboration and peer reviews, whereby we try to establish mutual, fruitful, and trustful collaboration with the persons and institutions with whom we have to work. We are doing so also trying to submit before we work and we start to implement activities, a human resource plan, where we submit who would be the international and national experts that are going to be recruited in order to implement activities together and for each and single electoral stakeholder we are working. I can actually hopefully paraphrasing what were the reasons, and the reasons, of course, is to support the important political transition in Ethiopia, where all the international community is actually supporting the upcoming electoral process and the democratization process that has been started some years ago already, and therefore there is an important effort of the international community, and the European Union and the European Union member states are an important part together with others, but I think they are the most important donor when it comes to these political democratic transitions. And therefore, I think the European Union, Union member states have put together an important amount of resources to support not only the electoral process per se, but the democratic governance scenarios in Ethiopia for the specific importance of this transition in Ethiopia, but of course, the specific importance that this process has in the East African and Horn of African region and for all the continent of Africa.